Hello, everyone. This is Mary at Mary Unapologetic. I'm waiting for my guest to set up her um, phone for a podcast today or an episode with me today. So, okay, she's here. Let me let her in. Hi.
Hi.
I was just starting. I figured I'll go ahead and start, but let's see here. I'm gonna turn down that music, and I'm gonna give you this.
Woo!
Okay, Katie, I am so glad that you can join me again today. I really appreciate it. And I enjoyed our last podcast. That's why I invited you again. And before we start, I want to talk about our Mega Media Event 6.0 for this year. We actually have a couple people that are coming that are overseas.
Yay.
Yay! And so, folks, if you guys haven't signed up, please sign up. Mega Media Event 6.0 is happening on June 1st to the 2nd. And then we're having a Dent meetup on June 3rd, as well as we have a few people that we've invited, like Noah from Dent Ops. And I don't know if you're familiar with Thomas from Stanliner Tools. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then also Anson PDR Tool Van's going to be here.
Nice.
Yes, Vinny is going to be here. So I can't wait. It's been a while since we saw Vinny. Let me ask you, are you going to the Anson open house next month?
I'm 50-50 on it. I haven't decided. Dave is definitely going, but I'm like, do I do? I just have to. I just got back from that long trip, so I'm like, do I get in a plane and do it? Do I do it?
Uh-huh.
So I'm 50-50 on it, but I'm
Okay.
leaning more towards yes, just to get out of town again.
Uh-huh. Because I remember from our last conversation when we were in Mexico that you said you might go. And so I booked my tickets. Gabby is actually coming.
Is
Is your
she?
daughter coming too?
You know what? I'm just gonna pull the trigger. You just twisted my arm. I'll tell Dave. Dave, we're coming
Hey,
to
hey, no,
Anson. You're
no,
not
no.
going by yourself. No.
Listen, no pressure though. No pressure because if it's not if it's not going to happen, because obviously you said you just got home, from a long trip that you have to take care of. And then if you haven't purchased your daughter's ticket, that's fine. I mean, don't do it for me.
Oh no,
Even though that would
no.
be, I would be honored if you
No, I need some Mary time, girl. I need some Mary time. I had a blast with you in Mexico. I just did, and yeah. So we were talking about, he's like, I'm not gonna be heartbroken if you don't. If you want to go pull it, last minute, that's
Mhm,
totally fine. So yeah,
mhm,
I've been more leaning towards the yes. So
mhm. Yeah, Gabby's going to be going because she gets along with Emma and Grace, Christina's daughters, and they just have a blast like we do when they get together. And so she's excited. Let's see here. Oh, and also, by the way, folks, what I was gonna say is that for our mega media event, I am thinking, because we're in California, and I didn't want to forget this. That's why sometimes I have notes, because I forget. You know what I mean? I get
mm-hmm.
in the moment, and then I'm just like, my mind's going this way and that way, and it's like the rest is like history. I've forgotten what my structure is supposed to be. But anyways,
We don't need structure. We just make it happen.
I know, right? I know this episode is going to be like just relax, any topics that we can think of. I have a list here actually. But
Awesome.
I was going to mention that because we're in California, we're now like getting into like what? The warm weather, good weather. So I was thinking of taking some of our attendees or most of our attendees to the beach. So probably like yes. So basically, Thursday and Friday is when we're going to do the education. And then Friday night, right before the dent meetup the following day, I was thinking going to a bar slash kind of like hang out with the cabana. And then you're close to the water. Literally, you can just walk to the water.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're going to do that. So I want people to like experience it because that's what we did last weekend. We actually, met up with some of our friends. It's actually, it was Mike's best friend's birthday, and we went to this bar in Carlsbad. It's called Fresca, and we were in the cabana slash. They have music, food, drinks, and then the ambience is so nice, close to the ocean. So I was like, I want to do this because this
That
is what,
sounds awesome.
huh?
That sounds awesome. Like you just, yeah. See, if I can make it happen in June, I would go just for that.
I know. Yeah. So I'm like, this is going to be the ambience and it's going to be a good vibe. So I'm like, I'm going to do this. Okay. So before I do my stuff, I want to know about you because you've been so busy. You said you just came back from a trip, right?
Yeah. So obviously, quick background, in '08, my mom passed away, and this January my dad just passed away.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's unfortunate. And I had to clean out the house in Maryland. 44 years of stuff
Oh
of
my gosh.
our life. Like, I found stuff that I'm like, why did he have this, or why was this here? Like
Yeah.
his train set we put out every Christmas. How did it end up in the back basement? Like, just
Uh-huh.
um.
Are
So
you are you selling the place or you guys gonna rent it out?
we're selling it. I mean, it's an 8-hour drive.
Mm,
It's time to, unfortunately,
to
close
move
that
on?
chapter and
Uh-huh.
move on. And
Yeah.
Myrtle Beach is our home, and our Dent people are our family. So
Mhm.
yeah.
I'll tell you what though, Katie, and I commend you you know, um, for just being fierce. I really commend you for like, I don't know anyone, I guess, except myself, who's crazy enough. And this is good crazy. It's not crazy, crazy, crazy,
It's
right?
okay.
I have a friend who calls me crazy, and it's supposed to be a good crazy, meaning you're cool.
Hmm.
That's what it means. You're cool. Who's crazy enough to drive at night just so you can like get ahead to get there because you got to get some stuff done. You know what I mean? I
Oh yeah.
I mean, I commend you so much for like that alone. It's like, oh my gosh, she's fierce. The fact that she's like, she can do things independently and she's not scared. And then not only that, she's very independent. You know what I mean? So
Being
I can see you can be productive.
being a Hale wife, like, you have to be independent. You can't rely on your husband. So, and then he comes home and you're like, oh, and he's like, you're this strong, independent person. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, you made me that way. So,
Yeah, I think that goes the same thing with military wives, right?
hmm
I grew up like, yeah, because my dad was in the military and my mom pretty much did everything. Oh, we have one comment. So sorry. Ryan. Oh, if you're still there. Okay. I don't know if you're
hi,
still
Ryan.
here. Hi, Ryan. Just say something. So, anyways, yeah, military wives, they just like, they need to get stuff done, whether their husband is there or not.
Hmm.
Yes, he's still here.
Awesome.
Hi,
Yay.
Ryan. So my point is that I guess you can't rely on your spouse or significant other when they're gone most of the time,
Hmm.
right? You just have to, I don't know. I mean, how do you do it? Do you like teach yourself, or do you like kind of like psych yourself saying no one's gonna do it? My husband's not here, so I just gotta get on it.
It just, I think, and I'm going to say this, and I always go back to this, and swimming has taught me a lot. Like, being an athlete and a high level athlete of, okay, I got to get up in the morning. I got to go to practice at 6, and I have to go to school. Then I have to go back to the trainer, and then I have to get my homework done. And then, that background has taught me to be, okay, he's not here. He's not going to do it. So I'm going to get up at this time. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to do this. Then I can do that. And then I have to go
Mhm.
back to that. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel the same way because I can't wait. I mean, when Mike is busy, I can't wait for him to like come home and do stuff. I just like get on it and do it. Otherwise, then nothing will get done if I wait for him.
And
So
it's
for
okay to ask
me,
for help. It's okay
Yeah,
to have a housekeeper. It is okay to have somebody, like I've learned now with everything being so busy, it is okay to have the lady come to clean my house twice a month. Like that is
you can
okay.
focus on other things.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and especially if you're a business owner, you can't do everything. I mean, I love and enjoy cleaning the house because for me, it's like relaxing. I've been doing it since I was a kid. My
Mm.
mom taught us how to clean, even though we have two maids and a driver. But,
Tell the
I'm
story. Tell the story. I love that story.
okay. Okay, I'll tell the story. Okay, let's go ahead to the story. Okay, so basically, we were having conversation earlier, and I said, you know, life is really a challenge and hard. And with my mom, even though she doesn't practice what she preach, or maybe only 10% of it what she practiced, right? She really taught me a lot. And what basically I am who I am now because of what I saw from my mom. And my mom, when the money was flowing and coming in, she didn't know what to do with that much money. And so she didn't save it. When somebody comes and they tell them their sobbing story that they need help, my mom will help them. And so what ended up happening too is that we have a couple of maids, or maybe three at one point, because in the Philippines, it's really affordable. I mean, I'm going to tell you to put it into perspective. Right now, some of my family member have housemaid there, like full time. They actually stay there with you.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like a live-in, and they pay these people $200 a month.
Wow.
$200 a month. So when
Wow.
you hear me that we need to be thankful for what we have here, imagine that life. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So that's why I thought, that's why when I was growing up, we had like two or three housemaid, and then we had a driver, because driving in the Philippines, it's bananas. It's really crazy. They make up their own rules, and the fact that they don't have they have lanes, but they don't stay in their lanes. For all you know, they're cutting you off so close. And Mike actually tried one time to drive over there, and then after he almost like hit somebody because that person cut us off, and the next thing you know, Mike is like cursing his butt off, like blah, 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 blah. And I was like, calm down, calm down. And so that's when, he decided, okay, told my brother, my half brother, okay, Jaja, you're driving. I'm done driving. This thing is going to make me crazy. And that's why I said, yeah, you should just relax, be a passenger. But anyways, yeah, so nobody can drive there unless you're really good at and familiar with driving in the Philippines. So my two brothers does it, but then one is really really good at it because he's been doing it for years. But anyways, going back to the story, I asked my mom, I said, wait a minute, why do I have to clean? Because she gave me assignments, like to clean the screen on the windows. If she were to go and visit our restaurant, because at that, when I was growing up, we had a restaurant.
Oh
So
wow.
when she leaves in the morning, that's how I was exposed, early at an early age in business. So, anyways, when she would leave in the morning to go and run the restaurant, we were left with housekeepers slash nannies, and so and then she would give us assignment, and I'm like, why do I have to have an assignment? Why do I need to clean? And then she told me, she said, Mary, because if I die, you're gonna have to live with relatives, and you can't be like a princess. You have to clean, you have to contribute, da 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 da. And I was like, okay, fine. So that's the story. And the reason why this story came about is because we were talking about the kids we have here. They just have everything here. And then for you to delegate some, I don't know, chores,
Hmm.
they throw a fit.
Well,
They
well,
throw a fit, they
it
give you
depends.
attitude.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I grew up the same way. We were very fortunate growing up. And to the point where we didn't have to pay for college. Obviously, scholarship paid for it, but my dad would have paid the rest.
Mhm,
Um, and when I was 15, he was like, Katie, you're going to go flip burgers. You're going to go flip burgers. You're going to learn to take the trash out before you even lifeguard. I don't care. Lifeguard's cushy, easy job. You're not going to go do that. So he made us go, and I worked at Wendy's and I flipped
mhm,
burgers. And yeah.
mhm.
So, I
So
mean, He ground and we had a chore chart. We put the gold star on the chore every week that we, every day that we did had to do something.
I heard a lot of people was doing that. I don't know. I mean, I don't hear it so much now, but back then I hear like, the older generation,
Hmm.
yeah, they said that they taught the young ones or the younger generation to do this, to do that, that. So I guess the great generation, or because like I'm what, Gen X, right? I'm in my 50s, so I'm Gen X.
No, I think that's below us. I think because I'm in my, what am I? I'm like, oh my gosh, we don't even know. We're gonna just be the cool gen, okay? We're not Gen. We're just Gen Z. That's what
Because
we are.
I'm talking about the generation before the baby boomers.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I
I
think
think
that's the
yeah.
greatest generation,
It's
right?
yep. And then you're
Okay.
Gen X. Gen X. Yep. I
Yeah.
think
So
so.
the greatest generation always taught the younger generation life skills. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
how to work harder, how to like doing things ethically, like morals, values, right, principles. Those are the stuff that I learned from that generation.
Hmm.
And because I used to like hang out with them, I used to talk to them. I used to work at the hospital, and then
Oh wow.
yeah, and then and then the hospital, when the nursing home is like short, they will rotate the nurses from the hospital to the nursing home. So now then you are like with the older generation.
Right.
And what I notice is that when they get older, really what they need is just someone to talk to. But
Hmm.
even with that, you notice that they're still like, in tune with teaching you stuff, teaching about history, teaching about working hard, teaching about life, how to solve problems, how to like work through your emotions.
Hmm.
And so that I love. So sometimes I think, Katie, that I don't know if some people believe this, but somewhat I heard about it, and I kind of believe maybe a little bit of it, because here and there I see some signs, like like reincarnation. I mean,
Yes.
I'm Catholic. I don't know if Catholic believes in that, but I'm Catholic. But I've heard people saying that, oh, so and so maybe it's reincarnated, because sometimes I'm like here and I'm thinking like, if I meet somebody that I've never met before, but somehow I felt like I've known that person,
Hmm.
maybe in another life, or I've
Yeah.
been to places that I'm like, wait a minute, I feel like this is deja vu. What's going on? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So I feel like that maybe I was somebody in a past life. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, but I don't want to scare people, because this is like, I mean, I know some people are going to be like, Mary, you're cuckoo. That's not true.
Yeah. No.
I'm just paying attention to what's out there, not necessarily saying that, look, Rachel's watching. Yay. Rachel. Oh, hi, Rachel.
Hi,
we,
Rachel.
we enjoyed hanging out with you guys. We should do it
Absolutely.
again.
Hmm. We need.
Yes, we should do a trip again. Okay. You were agreeing with me about reincarnation. Have you heard
Yeah.
something about it?
Oh yeah. Oh, I hear it all the time. Like it'll be like people are like, I know you, and I'm like, you know me? What, you know me? I don't know you. I'm meeting for no, I really know you. Like I feel like, and I'm like, huh? I'm like, okay. So
And then also, I feel like I gravitate to like oldie music, like the 1920s.
hmm.
Somehow it relaxes me. I don't know why. It's
Mine's
just,
Motown. I
huh?
love Motown. Oh, my dad used to listen to Motown, and I love,
Really?
yes, the old Motown. Yep. Hmm.
You know who listens to that? Mike. Mike listened to a lot of that. Oh, look at this. Another trip. Yes. Ryan
Yes.
saying another trip. Yeah, that was so much fun. Yeah. Yeah, Mike listened to a lot of Motown, a lot of hardcore rap.
Hmm.
You know, me, I listen to a lot of music, even like classical music, because I learned when I went to college and took psychology, because I needed psychology to graduate,
Hmm.
that classical music kind of like, they say makes you smarter, and I think I can understand why, because of the brain waves, the somehow the classical music, the kind, it's not a monotone, it's almost like continuous, but then it's relaxing, then
Hmm.
it's good for your brain wave. That's what that's what I learned or heard. And actually when I was in college, I was like, oh my gosh, because I had to work full time to support myself so I can put myself to college too. um, it was kind of hard to manage being a full-time student and then working. And I think you did the same thing too, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so what I did, and this is the honest truth, people, what I did was I listened to a lot of classical music at night, especially right before the test after I studied the night before. So in the morning, I'm all relaxed and my brain is kind of like ready for the test.
I
It's
can understand that.
Yeah, yeah. So it worked. It worked. So moving on to this next topic that I want to talk about, business. Let's talk about business here.
Okay.
Um, I think what I want to talk about is that, well, one of the stuff that we're going to talk about actually on Mega Media is how to prepare yourself for an audit. Folks, I did not just get audited once; I got audited twice. But here's the thing: I was prepared even when I first set up our business. When we first started the company, I was already on it because I already know what I need to do as far as being organized. So that way, if it gets to the point where I'm being audited, then I'm prepared. I'm very organized. You know what I mean? And even if you hire an attorney, they're still going to want to see your books. They're still going to want to see your report because they want to make sure that they're not making a fool of themselves, especially if they're representing you. So they want to make sure that what you're saying actually is valid and there's truth to it before they actually present it to the auditor.
Oh yeah.
So to prepare myself at that time, I had a spreadsheet back then because I wasn't exposed to QuickBooks back then.
We love spreadsheets. I love spreadsheets. I
Uh-huh.
still use them.
Yeah, so we started by doing the spreadsheets, but then I think after 2 or 3 years, I came across QuickBooks. I started using QuickBooks, and since then, I use QuickBooks. Now, don't get me wrong, folks. What's the difference between MTRX and QuickBooks? Well, MTRX, we used MTRX too for like what do you call this, for let's say doing the estimate, giving it to
Yes.
our customers.
And
But
invoicing.
yeah,
Yeah.
invoicing. But here's
Mhm.
the thing with QuickBooks, my report comes from QuickBooks, and when you get audited, these are the stuff that they're going to request: your balance sheet, your P&L, your quarterly, your cash register, all that stuff. And even with that, my I hired an attorney in the past to represent us. I mean, if people are wondering why would you hire an attorney, because do you know why, Katie? I'll
Yeah.
give you I'll give you a try.
Why did you hire an attorney? So
Yeah, if you
that,
get audited, can you just
yes,
do it yourself, or why would you hire an attorney?
because it's easier to deal with the IRS and for you, just because IRS is so, they're so, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not rigid, but they're so strict. They're so,
Strict and structure, yeah.
yes. Thank you. That's why.
They're so strict and structure, and this is their element.
Yes.
This is their element. So obviously they're gonna scrutinize your books. So even if your books look clean, they're looking for something because their goal is to penalize you,
hmm
right?
Yeah.
That's what it is. So they're
Trust
gonna
me.
look for something that's not there even,
hmm It's
right?
just, yeah. It's just kind of, we didn't get audited, but I got a letter in the mail today from South Carolina saying, "Oh, you was $2,000 by whatever." And I took a picture. I sent it to my accountant. Not only was he back to me in 5 minutes, he's like, "They haven't applied the payment that you paid last December, and you've overpaid them $980 some dollars."
That happened to us too. But
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't like that. It was a payment that I made. They didn't apply it to the right year. They applied it to this year. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
why are you applying it to this year? This year is not even over yet.
It hasn't even started.
I know. So, and this was like this was actually like last year when it happened, but I didn't find out about it until this year. But this is not the audited issue that I was talking about.
Yeah.
This is actually in the past. What I'm saying is that the reason why also, and this is what I preach in the past to our past students, last year. This year I'm going to go into the details, but last year I just kind of like highlighted about it, talked about it, very lightly. But the reason why you want to hire an attorney too is because when they request all these documents from you, there's a game in this thing. You don't want to give all your documents to them just like that, because they, even though there's nothing wrong with your books, they're going to find fault into it, and then they're going to penalize you. So that's why when you hire an attorney, the attorney knows what and when they should release the documents and what documents to release. So you don't just release all the documents. Now, if they request it, obviously you'll be like, okay, I need this, I need this, I need that. There's a way attorneys deal with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
No, that's what they do. I mean, that's why they're so good at what they do.
and then not only that, is that because if, let's say, the year that they requested is like, let's say, squeaky clean, nothing wrong with it, or if they, let's say, found something wrong with it, maybe if it's just one thing, then they're going to ask for more. They can ask up to 3 years or 4 years. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So
Wow.
that's why with us, they always say, if you're business owners, you need to keep your records for 7 years back. So where are
Mhm.
we now? 2023. So you
Yes.
should keep anything all the way to at least 20,
No,
what is that? 2016.
yeah.
2016. Yeah. Because if they request it, you should have like something like to show them, like documentation wise. Yeah.
Mhm.
So when you get audited, they're gonna, they usually say, hey, I want 3 years of this. But they can also ask up to 4 years. And so now people are saying, I have a friend who's a doctor and he got audited twice too, but he's only got one job. Why do you think he got audited twice or even 3 times? Because maybe something in the books that's off. So they know that, hey, wait a minute, we did this and it's still not clean up. Let's go back again following year.
Yep.
Now, for me, the reason why it happened twice is because I have multiple businesses. So if they got you on one, they automatically want to try to get you on another. And depending on how many businesses you have, who knows, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yes.
So, this is why it's highly important to be organized as far as your books. And this is what drives me nuts. And that's why this episode is about balancing work, family, and it's your personal whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You,
Oh,
you,
absolutely.
your
And
personal sanity. How do you do it?
it's funny because you're talking about saving stuff. I just cleaned my dad's house out.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh, the minute to the receipt. And I found taxes from the 80s. I found checkbook registers. Like, I'm like, what in the heck? This bank closed like 15 years ago and I'm pulling out,
Uh-huh.
stuff. And it's so funny that that generation held on to everything because
Mm-hmm.
they're afraid of the audit. So they could pull out at any point in time that stupid receipt that you would, like us, oh, I don't need a receipt, throw it away, it's whatever. But now it makes me think twice now that, yeah, I think I maybe should start saving this. I should start saving that.
Yeah, you should, because I also have another friend who's actually, he started as a PDR guy, but then he ended up having a body shop later on. And gosh, ever since he switched his business from PDR to a full body shop,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh, he never have time to do anything else anymore. He's like married to that shop.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel bad. But here's the thing. He said he got audited, and obviously, one of the stuff that he advised me to do is just, Mary, you need to keep your receipt. And this was like literally like 16 years ago when he advised me this. And then I said, yeah, I keep all my receipts, because he's saying that, oh yeah, they requesting the receipts for this, the receipts for that. And I don't know how he came up with it if he didn't save it. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's a question for an attorney. You know what I mean?
Oh
And
yeah.
attorney usually is not cheap, but if you really think about it, with the amount of time and probably headache, and then maybe money,
Mhm.
they might be able to save you like more versus being penalized for thousands of dollars if you really think
Oh yeah.
about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's well worth it because at the end of the day, you can still make keep going with your business, and they might email you, "Oh, I need X, Y, and Z," and you can still get them X, Y, and Z instead of you basically shutting your business down to do
Uh-huh.
this whole audit. So it's also well worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the reason why I want to actually cover that in on our mega media event is because I've seen people, they start owning a business, they start running it, but if, especially if it's a small business, I've seen that people doesn't put really that much thought into being highly organized, especially their books, you know what I mean? Or
Hmm.
sometimes people commingling their personal expense or personal bank with their LLC bank. And there is a reason why you LLC. So if you get sued, you are
Exactly.
protected. But if you commingle that, then you lose, and you basically null and void you know your LLC, and can't protect you
Absolutely.
anymore.
So it's like with Dave. I'll forget every year, and I would happen to be in the car because he drugged me to MTE this year,
Hmm.
and he said, as we're going down, hey, leaving today to the accountant, hey, leaving today for MTE, and we'll be back this date. So everything we did in Florida, the accountant could track and put it where it needs to be. So we have that.
Hmm. Yeah, for
So
me,
it,
what I did is like I assign a certain credit card, so I know that this credit card is for this business trip. And so, because back then I'll be like going to my bills,
hmm
and I'm going one by one. Oh, okay, this is not personal. This is, this is business. This is that. So now what I did is like, okay, from this date to this date for this one card, it's all business. So that way I'm not like calculating, trying to figure it out because it's tedious work. I mean, but we still have to do it, even though it's tedious work.
oh
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
absolutely. It's like with us. So obviously the LLC holds all the money, and I'm we're talking about money.
Mhm,
So our top flight holds all the money. On the 25th and the 13th of the month, I'll go through and I'll do all the bills, and we'll do one transfer. And that'll be the transfer to get us through. It'll include shopping, whatever.
mhm,
And so, and the accountant can see what we're doing, or
mhm,
we can see what we're doing. We know what that amount's for. So if the IRS comes and it's pretty much, once in a while, we'll have like an extra, like a tax bill or something will come in, so it'll be a little bit higher, but for the most part it stays the same for both times out of the month.
mhm,
And that's how we stay away from even trying to commingle or anything you know wrong with the
mhm,
money that sits in top flight.
mhm. Yeah. Speaking of, I guess, business and then life,
Mm-hmm.
I especially because like you were talking and then I just suddenly remember, oh, okay, you went to clean out your parents' home because you're going through that process. I I think one of my episode, I talked about um doing a trust. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And
So yes, I have a trust. Yes.
okay.
Hmm.
And
um
one of the stuff that I actually, because like sometimes I listen to things or I'll read something, and then I would have that aha moment, and I'm like, yeah, I never looked at things like that. Maybe maybe that's a smart thing to do. I did that too, early on, especially when we first bought our house. I put everything under trust because what I heard recently, and I think it's so smart though, because the things that I was like trying to unlock as far as mystery to me is like how does rich people really handle their finance, or how do I mean, what do they do? Do they do the same thing we do, or because I'm talking about rich people, how do they become even more richer? So one day I was listening to a radio, and what I heard was basically this guy is advising people to do a trust. And if you do a trust, let's say that relative passed away, don't have your kids purchase your assets, such as a house or a land or this and this and that. He's basically saying to put it in the trust, because if it's in the trust and your executors are your children, then it just stays there. They don't get tax on it. Because
Correct.
originally that's what I was thinking. Okay, so I have a house, it's on a trust, and I want to teach my kids, the value of money. I don't want to just give it to them. So I want them to, let's say, purchase it from me. But then if you do that, then if you think about it over time,
Your equity.
your equity goes up. So if you purchase a $300 home, maybe after 20, 30 years, it's like $1 million. And if you sell it to your kids, guess what? That means they're going to pay taxes on that $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I never put some thought into that until I heard it. I'm like, oh, that is a smart thing to do. you know what I
Yeah, my dad. So obviously, my mom passed first. My dad basically. I'll give you the brief story. My dad was drafted into Vietnam. Came out of Vietnam. Went to school. Went
mean?
into banking. Um, went. I can't. He retired at like 55 from Bank of America and decided he was going to take a Series 7.
Hmm.
Took the Series 7, passed it, and then started working at
Real estate agent.
Mor- No, he was Morgan Stanley. He was a
Oh,
broker. He was a broker.
oh,
So
he was a broker. Okay,
yeah,
very smart.
yeah,
Those tests are hard.
yep. So yeah, so he did that, and then so he they basically worked all their life, and they set this trust up for me and my sister that when they passed, there's a trust, and now the financial advisor is splitting the trust, so it's her 50%, my 50%.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad laid it out that I could get half of it at the age of 50,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other half at 65. And I don't have to take all of it at 50. I could say the financial advisor, well, she already said at September of the year of your 50th birthday, we're going to talk and see what your needs are.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing that they wrote in that clause is that if I had a child, I can use that money for her education.
Mm-hmm.
So that was another positive. So they really thought about it. And the other thing that they did is they said they wanted everything my dad wrote after my mom passed, and then he was, living. He wanted everything sold. He didn't want us trying to hold on to a house to be taxed or whatever. He just wanted everything sold and then split
Mm-hmm.
from the estate between me and my sister, and
Mm-hmm.
then that went into the trust as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's the way he did it. And I know a lot of people that, since I work with a financial advisor,
Uh-huh.
are doing that. They're locking up everything in a trust so that their kids don't have to pay that tax, or they're looking at, oh, I'm in a place where they won't get taxed, so I don't have to do that. But the
Mm-hmm.
trust is the way to go because it's locked up, and you can put your stipulations on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So, because I'm thinking, in California, we're running out of land. So land is very like, hot commodity here.
Hmm.
It just keeps appreciating. So I was telling my daughter, and I was like, the oldest one, I was like, because you don't want to live in this part of the country and in this part of the country. So it's very limited where you want to live. So maybe you can just stay here. And then, so, you know, I told my daughter that when the time comes, because it's in the, obviously it's in the trust. When the time comes, then we'll revisit it if you want to buy it, or if you want to keep it there. But then obviously you have, as a parent, you have to make sure that it's not going to be a reason for all your kids to fight about, because I've seen that too all the
It's
time. That's why there's a trust,
it's
right?
happening with my sister and I. So my dad owns two houses. He owns the one in Maryland and the one in Myrtle Beach.
Okay.
And right before my dad passed, my sister was in the process of buying it. Of course, the sale didn't go through because in South Carolina, when my mom passed, my sister and I became part owners of the house. So we were 25%. My dad had 50%.
Uh-huh.
And they had to figure out in the title was what was holding up the sale. So now my sister wants to purchase it for 250,000, where my dad left my aunt, his sister, in charge, who says, no, 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 we're going
Hmm.
to sell it for fair market value,
Yeah.
and we won't get the right amount so that you guys can have money, it can mature. And
Hmm.
there is a huge fight over this one house. I'm like, y'all fight it out, because I live in Myrtle Beach, so I really don't care. I'm like, I don't care. So
I've seen that over and over in family with monies or assets, even the one that's like doesn't have anything, they fight over like little things, you know what I mean?
oh
That's
yeah,
why it's good to have a trust too, so that way everything's laid out, this and this and that, so no one's gonna put a blame on one another, right? Because
oh
you
yeah,
can't do that except like whoever created the trust, and if that
correct.
person is not here anymore, you can't blame that person, you know.
Nope. But it's on paper. Get it on
Yeah.
paper. Get that will. I said to Dave today, I said, we have to sit down and get this will straight, because if something were to happen, I mean, obviously, if something were to happen to me, I hate to say it, Ella gets my trust.
Hmm.
Any that's left over goes directly to her. She's a beneficiary. My
Hmm.
dad wrote it that way, and unfortunately my sister doesn't have any kids, so it would never go to her husband. I don't know where it would go, but he wrote it that it would go directly to
Somewhere to
kids.
someone.
No husbands. He said the husbands aren't getting anything. Sorry, love you guys. No husbands. Going the kids. Sorry.
Uh,
Yep,
yeah.
that's
Well, you know what? Your dad is smart. You know why? Because he's looking out for you guys, women, because boys or men always, they can always find or get a job, right?
oh
But
yeah,
for women, you have your kids, if you have kids, but if you don't have kids, but still, you know what I'm saying? So he's looking out for his girls, that hey, I want them to be like in a good place when I
correct.
pass, because in the Filipino culture it's the same way, uh I don't want to like mention who it is, but in our culture, and I've seen it too, actually, I know someone actually right now who's got like multiple properties.
Oh wow.
Um Definitely not my mom. It's not my mom, it's not my sister, it's not, someone who's extended family from me, you know what I mean? It's my
Right.
extended family. They have like 3 or 4 properties that they rent out right now,
Oh wow.
and they have like a few kids, like more than 2. So anyway, my point is that when they pass away, because like some of the kids are like saying, why don't you just sell it? You can't manage it anymore, you guys are very old. Excuse me.
You're
Why
fine.
don't you just sell it? And they're like, no, 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 we don't want to sell it because we want to leave assets, or we want to leave stuff to our kids, so when we pass, they're in a good place. And I'm like thinking, excuse
God
me.
bless
Oh my gosh, I need some water, hold on.
you. You're fine.
Mike's old coffee.
Worse.
It's not gonna kill me.
No, it only makes you stronger.
Mm-hmm. That's the way you look at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyways, then some of the family members are thinking, well, if you are doing it that way, some of them will like take advantage and not work hard, because they're thinking if somebody passed away, they're going to receive something. So
Mm.
that's why I think you have to like, I don't know, it's how do you do that? You have to balance it, I think, for me, you know what I mean?
And it's not there. Like Dave and I, the one thing we're reward everybody's told me, I've always driven used cars. So they're like, we're gonna get something brand new for me, because that's something we're just gonna reward myself.
Hmm.
But we're working hard, even though it's there, and
Hmm.
I it or we get fallen hard times or whatever, it's there. But
Hmm.
Dave and I said, I'll go chase Hale before we start even. He's
Hmm.
like, options. We're not going to. We're just gonna pretend that we don't
It's not
have.
there.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
because you could easily get caught up and blow through it, and then you're
Yeah.
like, oh, now what? I've got the cars, I've got the pool, I've got the house, I've got what
Yeah.
what retire on. I mean, I hate to say it, but a dent guy's life, span of life is not very long, especially Dave, who started at a very young age, where they start to get, feel it in their hands and
Mhm.
everything. So,
Yeah, Mike is the same way. In Mike's mind, he said, "No, no, no, no. I can still work. I'll work until so and so." Because I was telling Mike, when you own a business, this is me. I'm always planning 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead. That's
hmm
that's my outlook in life. And
hmm
so I'm already telling him, this is our goal in a 10 year span. Because anything, more, anything over than 10 years, I don't know if our mind is still here. Because
oh
I'm
yeah.
starting to see the sign of being forgetful. And you were talking to me about something in Mexico that we were talking about this, women, once we're on that ripe age, I call it ripe age.
Listen. No, it's and women that have the surgery that put them on that right age too. So that's yes, yes. I am very. It's brain fog. I mean, I hate to say it, but when you go through, I'll use the word. I'm not scared. It's menopause. It's part of being
Uh-huh.
menopause. It's part of being going through the change. So
I mean, seriously, Katie, I didn't expect that menopause is like this. I mean, the pre stage of that, and I'm starting to see little signs of like being forgetful. It's I won't forget like business transaction or money and all that stuff, or I think what I would forget though is, let's say, my kids event, right? Because it's not my, because right now, I mean, I don't want to say it, but it's not my priority, because my priority right now is I'm running multiple businesses. So that right there is a lot of responsibilities that I need to tackle on. I mean, same thing with my husband. It's a lot of responsibility. So right now I'm thinking this is what needs to happen, and then the other stuff comes next.
oh,
So
absolutely.
for my kids, Gabby will be like, "Mom, we got to do this. Mom, we got to do that," or either Triana, and that's the one that I forget. Or sometimes I'll put away something, and then I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna hide it where no one can find it but me," and then I forget.
I did that with my wedding rings. We're getting ready to leave for Mexico, and I hid them because not. I mean, I trust my cleaning lady, but you never know. And I
Yeah.
said, Dave, I said, oh my gosh, they're gone. I always put them in the spot. No, they were think in another little pouch. He's like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, I had my hysterectomy. I'm in full blown menopause, and it's hot, and I'm cold, and I'm throwing stuff. And he's like, what is wrong with you? And I said, it's menopause. Welcome to menopause.
No, you know what? You guys are funny because I can picture you two together when you're saying that. Me and Mike, we haven't gotten to that point yet, because he's, even if I say I'm menopausing or premenopause, he's not even listening. His mind is somewhere else. So it's like me talking to a wall. You know what I mean? So no, so I can't talk to anyone about it. But
Oh,
that's what.
we're gonna talk about it, girl. We are gonna talk about it
So
because
so for me, I'm like, this is not good. I mean, I kid you not. It's like, for me, it's like I feel like, I guess I'm not complete, because when I'm not a forgetful person. I'm very, very organized, and I remember stuff from even when I was little,
hmm
like vividly, like what happened, what I was wearing, this and that, where it happened, time, that. So for me to be like, noticing that I'm becoming forgetful, it's like, I guess it's hard. But then, like recently I had like an awakening, and I'm like, you know what? You should be okay, Mary. It's okay to be forgetful.
okay
I'm
not to be
huh?
okay. It is okay to not be okay. It is. It's a new. It's okay. I
Because I
promise.
because I was asking myself, why are you beating yourself like that? I mean, you're like really driving yourself crazy if you beat yourself like that. So it's okay to be forgetful.
You have to give yourself grace, and that's the one thing with everything that's been going on I have not done is give myself grace. And
Mm-hmm.
you have to give yourself some grace. You have to realize, okay, I'm running all these businesses. I'm running a home. I've got my kid in college, going through that. I've got one that's getting ready to go off to college. I got one that's 8 turning going on 21, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like you have to give yourself some grace and realize you're killing it, you're doing awesome, and we're all going to go into the next stage of life, and whatever that is, we're going to
Mhm.
embrace it, we're going to rock it.
Mhm.
And that's how I look at it. I mean, being
Yeah.
38,
Well,
having,
I'm glad that, we're having this conversation because I'm trying to make my husband understand and realize that, hey, there will be a point in life, in my life, obviously, that I'm really like forgetful. And here's the thing though, and this is what I realized: when you're running a business, you can't be forgetful. It's because you know what I mean, especially if there's like deadlines or dues, like certain dates that you need to remember. That's why I have relied now on my calendar. But even with that, because like you're not so used to using calendars and putting stuff on your calendars because everything is in my head. So I'm like teaching myself to really like rely on that, because if I don't, then I'm gonna miss dates or like certain important things that later on I will regret, especially if it's relating to business.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So in the mornings, what I do is I get up, and I'm a coffee junkie, so I'll get my coffee, and I haven't done it since my dad got, probably since November. So don't hold me to it. My life's been crazy. But I'll get up in the morning, have my coffee, and I'll sit down and I'll start making my list for the day so I can't forget. Or if something happens at the shop that I'm like, okay, wait, I have sticky notes all over the place.
Hmm.
And it's okay, because then I won't forget, or I'll be like, "Oh wow, I need to come back to that," or "Oh, I need to do this." So,
Hmm.
yeah, you got to give yourself some time in the morning and even in the evening to turn your brain off. Like, make your list for tomorrow in the evening if you want. Um, but yeah, you have to give yourself some grace, and you have to be like, "Okay, this is happening. How can I beat it? How can I
Hmm.
beat forgetfulness?" And do the steps to do that.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to like find the balance and the solution, because
Hmm.
obviously I'm not like what I used to be back then. I'm like, there's some changes in me. So now I'm trying to adjust and just find the balance, So I'm changing. So I guess in my 20s I changed, and in my 40s, and then now in my 50s I'm changing again because I'm experiencing stuff that I've never experienced before as a woman. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, like, I didn't get to go through that. I was told, so my mom passed away of ovarian cancer in 2008. And I decided to have what they call BRCA test done. It's a gene mutation test to see if I carried the gene. And of
Hmm.
course, it came back positive. And my doctor looked at me, my gynecologist said, "All right, it's time. You're getting a full hysterectomy. This is the best way
Hmm.
preventive." Like, what? You're crazy. I'm like, "No, I'm not going through this." He's like, "No, yeah, you are. We're having it." So I literally went through the surgery, and a week later, the hot flashes started. The
Oh
forget,
my.
the weight gain, the
Uh-huh.
everything. I'm like,
But
huh?
how did you come into terms that that you accepted it, like, okay, I gotta do this surgery? I mean, were you
I didn't.
shocked?
I didn't want to. I didn't want to, even though I was 29 when my mom died, I did not want her to go through what I went through watching my mom. My mom's first surgery, when she was diagnosed, they started at 7 in the morning. They didn't finish until 11 o'clock at night. And she was fully just blown up with tubes and everything in her. And I remember
Wow.
that, and I'm like, I don't want Ella to ever have to,
To see
whatever,
that.
yes, whatever I can do to be here for
Yeah.
her, I'm going to do.
Oh, wow. That's a lot. Yeah, Mike's mom died of cancer, like a breast cancer. But she's also, I don't know if it's breast, I think it metastasized somewhere else too, because
Oh,
she
wow.
was a smoker, yeah. But Mike, I mean, even with Mike, he was I think he was like 27, 28 when that happened. It
Hmm.
was hard to grasp and and deal with it. He went through a phase of like not being good, because when I met him, he was like really, really down, and I had to figure out how to bring him back up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's hard, especially now, because it sounds like you guys met. I hadn't even met Dave yet. So my mother never watched me get married. My mother never was there for my child. So
Yeah.
I've done that without her. So it's been hard. And it sounds like with Mike the same thing. His mom was not going to get to enjoy those things that, mothers want to enjoy.
Yeah, she didn't see her grandkids,
Yep.
and this is the only grandkids. She yeah, on that side of the family. Yeah. Okay. So moving on. I talked about business a lot, and I think one of the challenge that I'm also hearing from some of my friends are hiring, people, because nobody wants to work, or if they get hired, they don't work as hard, or they have certain expectation, or they don't even stay with a company for, I guess, longer than 3 years, right? It's not like the old generation, like, or the greatest generation. Once they work for a company, they're there for 20 years, and
Oh
they're
yeah.
loyal to that company, and they want that company to succeed. Somehow it changed, you know what I mean, from what
Hmm.
it was then to now. um, for me, I would rather hire someone who's, I heard somebody said this: hiring poor versus hiring rich. Obviously, rich kids. So, obviously, for me, I would hire someone who came from nothing, because they're going to be hungry and they're going to be motivated to work, rather than hiring someone who's like came from a well to do family. So,
Hmm.
if you, let's say, work for a big corporation, or you have a big company and you're doing the hiring, what would you do? What's your, I mean, I'll tell you my opinion about it.
You know what? That's a tough one because you're gonna go by their resume, first off and foremost, and
Mhm.
secondly, I mean, it's really hard to say this day and age, and I saw it. I saw it firsthand when I went back to Bel Air, my hometown, with these new things. People just don't want to work.
Mhm.
They think, and I'm like, okay, at my age, I was doing that.
Mhm.
So I don't judge a book by its cover. I almost want to give, whether you're rich or you're poor or whatever, you give them hey, I'm going to hire
Give
you.
them a chance.
Here's your trial period, and let's see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like you, Katie. I like to be fair. and but my mentality on this is that, because I've seen people with money and I've seen people with no money, right? And
Hmm.
I, like with my mom, I told you, when it's good, it's good, but when it's bad, it's like really bad, because she didn't
Right.
really know how to balance her checkbook or something. But for me, I think my mindset on this is that, like what you said, when you're interviewing, it's hard to see who's rich and who's not, or who came from a well-to-do family or who's not. But you can, by the way you interview the person, you can see a glimpse of what that person is about. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or where they came from, depending on the questions that you ask. Um, Kids or people that came from money, they have a certain persona. I
Hmm.
don't know if you've noticed that, because I've been around with rich people before, and I've
Hmm.
also been around with people that, like, like a self-made millionaire. And I've also been around with people that don't have any money at all. So the one that came from money, they have like a certain expectation. The way they carry themselves is also different, and the way they would probably answer your questions would be different than someone who's never had any money. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Who's motivated to work. Like for me, when I was interviewing for a job, I always like, okay, I'm going to try my best, put extra hours there until, hey, I prove myself that
Right.
I'm good enough for this job. And then, I'm a team player, whatever you like, if you hire me to do this, but then if my job requires me to do something else, like, you know what I mean, cross train for something else,
Right.
I'm willing to do that. Whereas people who doesn't, who's never worked hard in their lives, because they have had money for most of their
Right.
lives, they're gonna question that kind of stuff. Oh, you're gonna cross train me for that? Why? What for? I mean, I thought you're hiring me for this. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And then not only that, I think rich kids, they have, most rich kids, they are a little, I would say, like, I think when I was growing up, we used to call them silver spoon. So
Yep.
what can
Yep.
how
Hmm.
can a silver spoon kids relate to people like us who are like blue collar, right? We were, or even like, I
Hmm.
mean, like white collar, like which one's white and which one's blue anyway? I forgot.
Okay, blue collar is the middle class, white collar is the upper class.
Okay, there you go. We are the blue collar.
Hmm.
Okay. So how can someone who's upper class relate to what we're going through? Because they never experienced what we went through. You
Right.
know what I mean? They
Hmm.
never had to like budget probably their money. They never had to like work hard in their lives, and they never had to probably like do some kind of a give and take. Like for me, this is what I teach my kids, because they don't understand it, but I know it because I've been there, done that. I say, look, you want this, but you have to give up something to gain this, because we
Hmm.
can't have both. This is
That's
simple economics that my economics teacher taught me in college. Basically, because he was teaching, every one of us wants something all at the same time. Like, I want these purses, I want these shoes, I want these clothes, I want this car, I want this house, blah, 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 blah. We want it all, right? And
right.
sometimes it's all at the same time, but you can't have it all at the same
Nope.
time. So that's why my teacher was saying you have to give up something to gain something. And he
Correct.
made a perfect example. He actually use education as an example. Okay, yes, you're paying for education, so that means you have to work hard right now. So that way you can get an education. Education. So would you pick this, or would you just work for now and don't go to college, and maybe do that later on? So which one is more important to you? Do you want to get your degree, or do you want to, so that way you can like make more money, or you want to like work now to pay your bills, because they're both important, to pay your
Right.
bills and then get your degree later to make even more money. So these are the stuff that he asked us, and this is the conversation we had in the classroom, and I was like, wait a minute, this is good topic.
Yeah, this
because
is a great topic. Yeah.
because it's a good topic, because they're both important. And these are the I think these are the stuff that I had asked myself. I'm like, okay, should I work and save the money and go to college later, or should I do it simultaneously? So I had to make a decision for myself at that time. And then I made a decision to do it simultaneously, because I'm like, you know what? I'm going to work harder now, and let's see how much of this I can take. Because
Mhm.
also, I kind of like psych myself, mind over matter. I remember when I was like doing hard work and I was praying, come on, God, I only have like one semester. I'm going to get there. It's mind over matter. I'm thinking,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean?
That's what it is in anything. It's what I'm challenging your son to do right now in his workouts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because yep,
And
you're
and he's welcome it. He welcomed it. He actually liked it.
you really have to work your mind over matter in a lot of instances, and I I know that I don't do that sometimes, and I'm like, oh, I really should have, really put that. It puts it into perspective. It really
Mhm,
does.
mhm. Yeah, I mean, I'm like, I remember this like 2 days ago, that I used to think like this, mind over matter, because like I'm like, okay, I'm juggling with a lot of stuff. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'll deal with that later. But then it piles up, and then I'm realizing I'm not happy because I'm stressed, because now my work is piling up. So then I'm like, okay, mind over matter. You used to practice this, Mary. You need to start practicing it again. Because I'm like, if I'm preaching this to my kids, then I should be doing this.
Exactly. That's the one thing I do. I'm like, wait, I'm telling Ella to get out here and bust her butt for soccer. And I'm like, oh, I'm not, or whatever. And I'm like, oh
Yeah.
gosh. And I walk around, I'm like, oh, there's that pile of laundry from Mexico I need to put away. Oh wait, there's this. Oh wait, there's all the bills that have piled up. It's just I'm like, wait, I have to do the same thing I teach Ella.
Uh-huh.
So mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So going back to the poor kids versus rich kids. Yeah. And then also what found out, because I witnessed it, is
Oh
that
wow.
sometimes, especially if you're in another country, so if you have money, you can buy your way through college. So if you buy your way through college, what are you really learning?
Mm,
And then basically you're just buying the status. So people will look at you like, "Oh, you're this and you're that. We're not worthy of you." So in another country, well, I wouldn't say in other countries, that is going on right now. So that's why.
Ah, wow, I had no idea.
Really?
Hmm.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought I'd share it here because I've seen it, and it's very, very common to happen. And I thought that I'd mention it because that's food for thought. Think about that. You know what I mean? I mean, if it's happening there, what do you think is happening here?
Oh
I don't
yeah,
know.
there's a
Huh?
lot of coming out. There are a lot of, well, I mean, obviously because I swam in college. I'm starting to see a lot of the scandals come out specifically on coaches, but there's
Mhm.
a lot of scandals coming out within the colleges about certain things. So that's definitely starting to be more visible than it used to be.
Mhm. Because there are reporters out there or that are like looking for news to expose it. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's why sometimes, even with my mom, I said, you know what? I'm not, because I told my mom, I said, Mom, if you go looking for a doctor, especially this person is supposed to be in charge of your health,
Right.
please look for a doctor that that has a good that has the credential, and it's not just like a smoke and mirror, right? Is that what the saying is? Is that what
Yeah,
the
those
saying?
old ladies. Oh, they need a good-looking doctor. That's what they want. They don't even care anymore. Oh, he's young and he's cute, and I'm 85. Yes, I'm going to him. I don't care.
So yeah, so I'm like, or either that, like you feel like you wanna like go to this doctor because you feel like you vibe with that doctor. I said, no, 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 don't do that, Mom. I said, really, you should be checking the credential of the person, how good the doctor is, that, because and that's how I pick my doctor too, because you just never know. Now it's like you can say, I'm this, and who's going to check on that? It
No,
seems
but
like no one is checking anymore. Whereas when I was growing up, we are taught to check people's credential, people's this, to do research, you know what I mean? To do your due diligence. Now, somehow information is so out there and nobody's checking. They're just
no,
like, yeah, they're just accepting it at face value. I don't know why.
it's funny that so a lot of my swimmers will get a lifeguarding job at the city, and
Mhm,
they actually have they put down references, and they'll go, "Can we use you as reference?" Yes, they
mhm.
still call. They're the only
That's
place that
good.
still calls and does a reference check.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah. Cause now, yeah, human resources, when I was working for businesses, whether it's small or not, human resources used to call and do a background check. And actually, they used to have like a contract with a company that does background check when they hire someone.
Hmm.
Somehow, I don't know what happened. They're taking shortcuts. They're not doing background checks anymore because now you're hearing this news like, oh, so and so is this, and so is that.
Oh
Didn't you
yeah.
do that before you hired someone?
Yep, and they're stealing the money and everything else. They're like, "Oh, well, yeah, they should." A lot of things have changed. I mean, when I went to get a job, we had to lift references. We had background checks. Sometimes you even had to do a drug test.
Hmm.
And, and none of that anymore. They're just like, "Okay, you're an able body, you're warm, we think you have the degree. You're just going to go in." And then they either screw up everything or they steal something or
Yeah.
whatever. I
I
mean,
don't know.
how
Yeah, people should be talking more about this so that way they're like, I don't know. So that way they're they're aware, because recently I saw something on the news that I guess a teacher was hired, and that teacher, later on they found out that there's something going on with that teacher and the kids, and then come to find out, when an investigation was done, nobody did a background check on that teacher, and that teacher had a
wow.
record of something. So
Wow.
I'm like, wow, these are the stuff that, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Anyways, that's like, and then business and drama. Okay, this is our last topic.
No, I guess
Business and
your last
drama don't go together.
no, they don't. What is it? What's this? Don't sleep where you. What's the saying? Don't sleep where
Don't
you.
bite the hands that feed you.
Yeah, or
Oh, that's a
something. Or
different one.
where you shit or don't shit where you sleep. I can't remember what it's called, but they talk about because I can't remember. But all I remember is I'll never forget. I had my first job in commercial real estate, and I started out as the receptionist, and then this assistant was always in this office with this other person. I was like, what are they doing? And he's married and she's not. And I'm like, little naive me and walking around, and I figured, and then they're like, oh no, they're having an affair. That's just normal. And I'm like, huh? That's drama. That's too much drama for me. No, thank you. Mm-mm.
Uh-huh.
Nope. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, the only reason why I brought it up is because you have a business, I have a business. Since we started the business, I already knew that we need to be professional. We cannot allow drama into this. It just doesn't look good in the eyes of my clients or customers. So anyway, so business and drama doesn't, so that's why when I conduct my business, I'm like try to be fair with everyone. I don't like drama. I mean, there are times, sometimes even like, people that are in the drama and then you're in the middle. And then so I'm like, I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut because I don't want to be part of it. Because if this is going on, it's not good. As a matter of fact, we had a client that came in and he said, you know why I chose you? And I'm like, why? I told this to Mike, by the way, because I went to the first company, and as soon as I went to him and got to the shop, that customer, I mean, that guy just started like yakking away, blah, 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 about things that are so unprofessional. So that's when the customer decided, oh, don't want to hear about this. And because that company, by the way, I guess is bad mouthing another company. So that's
Mm-hmm.
when that customer realized, okay, I'm not taking my business here. I'll take it somewhere else. And then he found us. And then he found us. Then he told us this. Now, folks, this is not the first time. This is probably the second or the third time, I would say, in the last year. But prior to this year, we've heard it from previous years too that, they went to someone else. They decided not to get their cars done there because la 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 la. They were hearing that this person talking smack about the other person. So they decided, oh, I'll take my business somewhere else. And then they ended up with us. So,
The other the other thing is, you're married to your husband. I'm married to my husband. When we enter that door, we're no longer husband and wife. So if we had a huge
mhm,
house, that stays.
mhm,
You can't bring it over to the threshold. You have to
mhm.
put on the great face and keep going through your day, and then deal with it when you get back home. You can't do that, or I'll look at Dave and be like, you know what, I'm not coming in today. You just handle it. You handle it. Don't want to. I'm not bringing this into the workplace.
Mhm.
No, it's not happening.
Yeah, yeah. I said the same thing to my husband. I said, look, 8 to 5 or 8 to 6, whatever that is, Monday to Friday. Once we're working, look at me as like your partner,
Mm-hmm.
like you had a partner with John Hiley, or with another person, I had a partner with another person. Like we look at each other as a partner. Don't look at each other as like a husband and wife, because when you look at each other as a husband and wife, guess what happened? All this emotion of, oh, you didn't do the laundry or you didn't do it, then you don't want to mix that right now when you're dealing with work, right?
No, no, no.
Yeah.
You
because
no.
because no matter what, your customers or your clients that come in, they feel that vibe, and when they feel that vibe, it's not good. That's
Mm-hmm.
what's going to resonate to them.
Oh yeah. You don't
Yeah.
want to when they walk in. You don't want any kind of tension or anything whatsoever. So it's why, like I said, if we got in a fight in the morning and it's like, you go, I'm staying home
Yeah.
because you be there, I'll be here, and and that's the way to do it. And if you
Yeah.
can't, because you don't want them walking into just any kind of, you want a pleasant, happy environment as soon as they walk in.
Hmm.
You want to greet them with a smile on your face and then go through all that, the estimate process and everything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
You.
Even personal calls, even if I tried, like the first year Dave was on the Hale Trail, we had a lot of calls because I was like, okay, I'm trying to navigate a new city, a new house, and everything. But our calls were, once I figured it out, like right before he went to work and after work, because he
Hmm.
doesn't get stressed while he's on 10 roofs a day or whatever.
Hmm.
And a
so
lot of
the
people do that.
so when he was doing when he's doing the hail job, you were like actually booking appointments already.
No, I would just this was when he was, before he started we started Top Flight. He was on the Hale Trail, and I would call him during the like 12 o'clock, oh honey, how's lunch, how's this, oh we didn't do this, or whatever, and he's like, dude, I'm working. I'm like, oh, okay. So I had to get away from that aspect of it and realize
Ah,
8 o'clock in the morning when you wake up, I'm going to talk to you. And then when you get home at night, and then during the day, if I had something that I needed to say, I would send it in a text. And then if, because I wasn't bringing drama, but I
mhm.
would be like, oh, I'm bored. Let me call my husband.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I get it now. I get it now because I did the same thing. Mike wasn't on the Hale Trail for a long time, but when he did, he was busy because he would tell me, "Look, I can't talk to you. I'm like concentrating on this car," and then it would be like 7 to 7. I can't talk to him unless it's an emergency because I was running the business here
Hmm.
by myself. Then I can just text him. But other than that, anything that's related to family, I can't talk to him about it until after 7.
Hmm.
And then by that time, he's eating, and then he's ready to go to bed. Yeah.
But a lot of women do that. And I mean, I was my first year guilty because I was like, oh, wait a second, I can. And then it could start into a heated conversation. And now he's around his colleagues, and that's not good. And then it puts him in a bad
Yeah.
headspace. So you just really have to separate all your drama from the workplace. And then because it's just not healthy.
Yeah. We can well, you know what, Katie, we can continue this on, I would say, I think, hold on, okay?
Okay,
Next
you tell
month
me.
when we do a podcast with PDR interview, um, Maria is gonna be with us. I'm gonna look
Okay.
at the date. May 2nd. We can continue this conversation on May 2nd because I do wanna have, like, I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been there, done that, but I only like experience it probably like 2 months or let's say a month and a half, whereas you guys have done it for many years.
10,
So
10
this
years.
is something that's like interesting to me. Yeah.
10 years I was a Hale wife, and I will get into it. And it I hate to say this, I don't have pity for people that whine, oh well, I get he's gone, but guess what, he's gone, or I can't talk to him right now. Like, I've
Mhm,
heard it all, and I'm like, and I hate to say, I love everybody, that I just am like, I'm here, I'm raising this child, I'm doing it, it stinks, but our husbands are out there sacrificing for us to
mhm,
have the life that we have.
mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. This
like,
would be a
don't
good
bring that drama.
topic.
Do not bring that drama into his workplace, because let him focus. Let him get that dent out so he doesn't crack paint.
Yeah. 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 So let's continue this conversation on May 2nd. We're having a podcast.
Absolutely. I love
Okay. Yeah, yeah. This is an eye opening for me. So it's like, I mean, well, it's not just it's not just that. I'm always, I guess, I've always been curious what it's like. And you've done it for 10 years. I've only
hmm
did it for like a month and a half, and I didn't have room to complain because I'm like, I can't complain because we both chose to do this. He wanted to do it. And I said, he asked me if he can do it. And I said, sure. And I said, don't worry, I can handle the business here. At that time, I still have a partner for one of my business. So
hmm
I can do it. I mean, even though Gabby was still little, but I trained my kids. We're going to go over that on the next time because I'm going to tell
Oh,
you what I did with my kids.
I can't wait. We're gonna have some fun with that, and I'll tell you what it's like to be pregnant when your husband to be gone, because
Oh
they
my gosh.
completely
Yes.
gone for the whole thing.
Yes, yes. Okay. Okay, cool. Well, I thank you for coming on again. I really appreciate it and I
I love
enjoyed having you on.
I love it. Thank you for having me. This is just awesome.
I know, right? Okay, this is our outro and do-do-do-do-do-do. let me let me end this.